And away we go. This is the BCJ podcast brought to you by the Holy Grail. As always, when you're downtown, when you're at the banks, make sure you are stopping by the Holy Grail, visiting our good friends and our longest sponsor, our title sponsor, the Holy Grail. They will get you taken care of. Great food, great drinks. Make sure you get some fried Reuben wontons or one of their delicious pizzas, and plenty of libations to get you through a Reds game. I can't. The Reds are actually a little bit fun to watch. It's not that they're good, but that they're a little bit more fun to watch this year than maybe we expected. But let's get this show on the road as we get things rolling. It has been a heck of a week. If you even go back to last week with the release of the renderings for the indoor practice facility, we now have our own beer, Cincy Light. And we now, Jordan and Nike are back. There's a lot to get to this week on the show. And we ran into a former Bearcat, a guy I hadn't seen in a long time. I was just getting started on the beat when he was quarterbacking the Bearcats, and got a chance to catch back up yesterday at Ryan Geist, and wanted to take a chance to have him on the show today. So hello to Dave Simone. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Hi. I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. And hello to our very special guest, former Bearcat starting quarterback, star basketball player as well at Mason County High School, none other than Dustin Grutza. What's going on, Dustin? How are you, man?
What's going on, guys? Going great. It's a good night.
It was great to see you yesterday, and that was a really cool event. And let's start there. We'll get into your playing days, and you also have a lot of different thoughts on name, image, and likeness, and where college sports are headed. So we'll get into plenty of that as well. But let's start with yesterday. Found out that you were kind of the linchpin on getting Brian Fox and Cincy Reigns together with the folks at Ryan Geist. Just take everybody through what hand you played in this partnership, and how cool it's been to see it go from, hey, we should do it this way, to now it's kind of it's a real thing.
Hey man, you bring beer and sports together in Cincinnati, and you're gonna have a
it's a success.
So I can't be the overall culprit of putting that combination together through the years, but been around Cincy since Bearcats, back 2004. I always tell people I've been here since 2004, which now almost 20 years seems crazy. But you stick around long enough, you keep talking to people, making friends, you get to know everyone. And I feel like I've stuck around with UC throughout all that. I've tried to stay a part of it, and that's led me into Cincy Reigns being on the board. Brian Fox is, obviously been a huge advocate for what's happening with Cincy Reigns. So big shout out to him for all the work. But man, I got to know the crew at Ryan Geist almost 10 years ago. Actually, at my wedding in 2014, Brian, one of the founders, brought down a keg of Truth and a keg of Cheetah so that we could have it at our wedding randomly. So I got to know those guys really well. And when all this was kind of coming together, it seemed like a no-brainer that we want to put a beer with Cincy Reigns and, incorporate this amazing idea that I'm not sure who spawned this, but I was able to come in and say, hey, I know the winning team that we should definitely, partner with as Cincy Reigns. And we definitely went through the whole process to see how it would work out. A lot of great, breweries and companies in Cincinnati, but man, Ryan Geist took it by the horns, and I love what they did. I mean, the unveiling yesterday was electric, and I think there's going to be a lot of Cincy Light drank at the games. We'll see some pyramids of that all over the place.
Let me ask you, because I had dad duty yesterday afternoon and evening. It was election day in Kentucky.
Yeah.
So the kids were off school, and Tuesday's a volleyball night. So I did not get to sample. Give us the unbiased opinion of Cincy Light.
Hold on. It's not out yet.
I know, but didn't they have it to try yesterday?
No.
That was just have Ryan Geist beer for showing up.
We are brand and building right now. But what I can tell you is the closest beer to this that Rheingeist makes, their lager right now, it's called
Cougar,
Cheetah.
right? Or Cheetah.
Cheetah at the craft brewery conference that just happened last week. The Rheingeist, instead, a lot of these breweries, they like prep for this, right? They make their lager, they get ready for each individual contest that's going on for the lagers or whatever it might be. Rheingeist took a 6-pack off of their line, entered it into the competition. It won gold. So you have a lager that won gold at craft brewery that is now going to make a light lager just like it. So, think Coors Banquet to Coors Light. Like Rheingeist just won gold with their Cheetah, and now they're going to make Cincy Light. Expect great things of quality. I love Cheetah. That's what I drank yesterday, actually. So I'm expecting this to be something that everyone's going to love. And I mean, if you're at the games and you're not drinking Cincy Light, are you really a fan? That is what I'm going to ask. Like, are you really a fan? Are you helping support the team that you love so dearly?
Dave's a big fan of beer.
I am. Cold beer. That's really my delineation of what I like. So when you guys are doing this and you're trying to, put this all together, what kind of were there obstacles that came up? What were some of the things that maybe you didn't anticipate having to work through that obviously we're able to work through? Had the big party yesterday and whatnot, but just kind of take us a little bit behind the scenes of the planning and what were some things that kind of cropped up as the whole thing was going on.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I mean, things moved lightning fast. Rheingeist definitely took the bull by the horns, and we did everything we could to try to answer questions, get the information out, figure out the price point that we want to hit to be able to sell this beer, the type of beer. One of the factors that came in a lot of discussions, of course, is always, can the CPAW be a part of the beer? Obviously, that we're not at that point yet. Cincy Reigns also, we don't incorporate the CPAW, although obviously it's a collective for the university, but at the same time, we're an arm length away. We're not connected in that realm, so we do not have the CPAW on anything at this point. But I would say that was one of the discussions that kept, can we incorporate this? How does this work? And I think figuring out that part of the process for branding and what we're going to be able to do was one of the hurdles. But overall, I think the team at Rheingeist knocked it out of the park. They had basically a bunch of DAP graduates working on this, which was a lot of fun. So by incorporating that, we had UC affiliation all the way around, and everybody a part of this project wanted to make it happen. And I think that was a big part of why it was so smooth overall, because we weren't looking for fighting over little things. It was how do we make sure that this happens, and how do we hit the deadline of having this ready, beer on tap, beer in cans, ready to go, game 1 of the football season this coming year.
So I know, I actually work a little bit in this on what I do for a living with adult beverage. And so how did they determine whether this was a good play for them based on what their ROI is going to be? Because it's kind of like a test case. They, they're going to spend this money, they're going to brew the beer, and then they're going to hope that it sells. Do they use data from other beers that they have done, or is this kind of just hey, we're going to do this and just kind of see what happens?
I mean, I can't dive deep into the depths of their business and exactly,
sure. But just the stuff that you guys talked about, where they were well, how much do you think will actually sell? Is it worth, kind of that conversation?
Honestly, what I think this became a golden opportunity to come into the light beer
market.
The whole market of light beer, where they haven't been in the past, and a lot of craft breweries aren't, right? They don't step into that, and so this became the right partnership for the right market to jump in there, and I think that excited Rheingeist for the opportunity for what that is, something that's a little different, but at the same time for Cincy Reigns, it's what else do we want? What type of beer are people actually drinking at tailgates, before games, at the games? Like it seemed like the obvious choice for let's make this move, and nobody knew. I mean, maybe Ryan guys knew because they have such a great product, but the fact that Cheetah just had gold at the craft brewery conference is huge. And I don't want to like make light of that. That is a big deal for any brewery to do. And the fact that that happened, and then we're moving into this space, it just speaks to the depths of people are going to like this beer. It's going to be enjoyable. And on top of it, you're supporting your city, you're supporting the university within your city. Like, how often do you get to do that by, going out and just having a beer with your friends?
Let's talk about Cincy Reigns for a second. How did you get involved? How did you end up on the board? Just take us through the process of you kind of ending up in that position with B Fox.
I don't know. I think they're just looking for a goofball who likes to devote his time to just endless things. A glutton for punishment. No, I'm just joking. It's been great. Brian is after it. As you know, he is a go-getter, hustler. And honestly, one of our other board members, Alex Apien, who's a part of
I know Alex.
Football alumni, astronaut to be, working down there at NASA. So
Dave loves arguing with Alex.
Oh yeah, that's great. I mean, listen, arguing with a smart guy there. Like, beware. Alex and I do a lot of different things.
You and Alex have gone back and forth a time or two. You might not know it's him on the boards.
You're exactly
once. Okay.
I know exactly who he is. And a fellow Vol would never. No, get out of here with that nonsense.
Alex is great. We love Alex.
Yeah, Alex is great. He cracks me up. He's a hustler too, and honestly, he has driven a lot with the football alumni. And then we've done so much there that I feel like he was like, let's bring Grutza in because I'm local and I'm also trying to advocate for the university all the time. So we all three started getting on phone calls, and next thing you know, we're in meetings, we're trying to build this thing out. And Brian really did grab by the horns and say, I'm going to make sure this happens. It's not going to fall through the cracks. Everybody's busy with their jobs. It's really hard to get something like this actually off the ground. You always hope that it's going to happen. Everybody can step in and do their part. But overall, these types of things, if someone does not spearhead it, it falls by the wayside. And UC needed it. I mean, this is going to be, I think, a huge thing for the ongoing progress of the program. I think you're going to have the ability to bring in great athletes through something like this, and especially the fact that we're doing businesses and having these businesses help to fund this beyond just the donations that some of our big donors are doing. This is going to be a big part to play in the UC athletics, especially going to the Big 12, where there's going to be a lot more money all the time paying these athletes. And I'm not sure everyone's aware with how much of a difference that's going to be depending on the different conferences you're in.
Chop, what's up, brother? Great to see you. Alex is smarter than everyone combined. Chelsea says, let's not get carried away. Sure, he might be an astronaut, whatever.
I mean,
smart dude.
Whatever.
If the moon's even real, let's not even get into that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I'll ask him though. He's got his definite opinions.
I'm sure he has an opinion on everything. That's one of the things we love about Alex. Let's start. Let's get to the Dustin Grutza file. How did Cincinnati come to be? I know you had a great career at Mason County. Mason County was rolling in the early mid 2000s. The football team was great. I got to know your football coach a little bit. I covered a couple of your games against my alma mater.
Who?
Lloyd Memorial High School.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We played y'all every year.
So I got to know your head coach pretty well, and followed you guys pretty closely in that period. Followed you in basketball as well. How does a guy from Mason County, Kentucky, end up in Cincinnati? Take us through the story.
A lot of luck through football, let me tell you. Basketball, first love, And in Maysville, if you're not playing basketball, you're
It's
not playing
basketball city.
sport. You're
It's
just
a
like,
basketball city.
oh, everything.
I would recommend if you're a basketball nut, if you love basketball, get to Maysville for the 10th region tournament.
Oh man.
It is high school basketball on its most entertaining level.
It's like a little
awesome.
mini rup down there at the field house. We got, what is it? Was it almost 6,000 fit in that place when it's fully packed, and they pull out the stage bleachers and everything else.
You have to be in line at like 2:00 in the afternoon to get into the championship game. It's crazy.
There's more seats than half the town.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a crazy thing. Like, you see the gymnasium and you're like, where's the school out? And it's like this little thing right beside it. It's just massive. So yeah, everything was basketball, and that was my life. I mean, we were playing basketball all the time. I had lights on a basketball court outside of, like, in the backyard. CeeLo, Chris Lofton, one of my best friends through life, and I would be out there playing basketball in the middle of summer, driving our neighbor. We had to drive our neighbors crazy. As I've gotten older, I'm like, oh my God, we played basketball till midnight. And I guess we were good enough as a team that people didn't care and complain. But that was a good time. But yeah, I mean, finding my way all the way up to Cincinnati was quite a crazy ride, honestly. I always thought I was going to UK. Honestly, Chris and I both did. We were like, all right, you're going to play basketball. I'm going to go football. We're going to do this. We're going to be Wildcats, right? We're Kentucky boys. That was just like what you were told from the onset. That's what you're going to do. And as things got going, we started, learning a lot more, seeing different things. And you're looking at who the coaches are, all different aspects. And actually an old UK offensive coordinator named Tony Franklin, who's been all over the country playing being OC and coaching all over the place.
The How Mummy system, right?
How Mummy, Air Raid.
Yeah.
He came in and helped teach me like drop back and stuff. I was a sprint out only quarterback in high school. I was running the ball, sprint out, throw it. It was like
chuck it deep to Chris.
Yeah, chuck it. Yeah, run around, like literally sprint right, curl back to the left side, like, just out athlete people. Like, that was your high school sport style, right? You're just trying to make plays all the time. And he was like, you need to learn some deeper mechanics on how you're going to, like, what colleges are looking for. So that was a really good learning lesson. Actually, when he was coaching the Horsemen up in Lexington, he had me come up and sometimes fill in there and like just practice with the guy, just like, fill in, just throw some routes and everything with people who are a lot faster than anybody I had on our team. Like, all right, this is what I have to, step up my level to. So he helped get me going and get tape out. And next thing you know, I'm starting to get offers, and Mark D'Antonio comes into Cincinnati, sends down his team, and they offered me pretty quickly. And I don't know, it just felt right. Loved UC, had been actually to Rick Minner's camps for years before that. And I'll tell you that another truth is I thought Chris was also coming. We thought we were both coming to UC. I thought Lofton and I were going to make it happen. He's going to be playing for Hugs. I'm going to be out there. Hugs had been to, practices. We had seen him. I knew Hugs well. I thought, back in the day when football players would come to play basketball, when Hugs was up there, I was like, hey, Hugs, I can still walk on over here if you're ready. You need a point guard coming in. But no, that didn't work out. Chris went to Tennessee, and, he's got his jersey in the rafters now down there. So I think that worked out all right for him. But
were you down there for that?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Dave is a UT alum.
I heard you just say that. I did not know that. So you got to love Lofton.
He was, I graduated right when he came in, and he was by far my favorite player, when he was there. I go to one game every year, and with some friends that live in Nashville, we go into one game. This year was that game. And then I forget what happened the week before I couldn't go, and because that's why we picked that game, because they were retiring his uniform.
Yeah, against Kentucky.
A couple of the guys are a year or two younger than me, so like they were in school when he was there. But yeah, so like that, absolutely, he was my guy when he was down there.
Oh yeah, still holds 3-point records.
Oh yeah.
So do we blame you for not getting them to Cincinnati? Like, what happened? Like,
oh man, there was a lot that happened there. I mean,
didn't get it across the finish line, Grutza.
Oh, he had offers early. Like, I mean, early on, we were both holding out for a UK for a good while before we made the decision. Started looking, really talking to other coaches and different things. I mean, early on, and he had offers from the UC way back. He had offers early on, but coaches are offering more and more offers, and those are getting filled up. And he was trying to make room. Hugs wanted Chris. There was a lot of discussion. I know Hugs really wanted him, and I don't know. Chris did a visit down to Tennessee, and that was it.
Tennessee dropped the bag, Matt said.
I don't know. He didn't. I don't know. I mean, Hugs wanting a guy that could actually shoot from the outside. I mean, that, I don't know about that.
Well, Hugs is notorious for having one guy. Like, he would always, on every, like Lizelle, Field, Bobbitt, he always had one guy that could shoot.
Maybe he already had one on that roster, and he's like, I can't have two.
He didn't want that problem.
Yeah, can't have too many guys that could shoot from 25 feet.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's great. But you get here. How easy was it to beat out Tony Pike for however many years that you did?
Hey, Tony started out as a gray shirt, so he was, which was a whole new thing at that era. Like, you're not going to truly practice and be a part of the team. I mean, you are, but you're like, almost like an arm's length away. You can't do full courses. You're kind of practicing, but there's no way, you're playing your kind of next season's class, right? You're part of the next class. And no, I mean, Tony was Tony was in there, man. Tony and I were the same year. We were together for so long, playing there. And man, did things work out just like in the right way. Definitely, Tony obviously had an amazing career. But yeah, I would say we fought it out for years. I was fighting some other great quarterbacks from like Davila as well.
Yeah.
Coming in there. So who has had an amazing career. It's kind of crazy to think of all the different quarterbacks from the time I first started that were in our quarterback room. When I first started, Gino was in there. And then after that, you've had Caleris, who's going to be a Hall of Famer up in Canada.
Yep.
You had Pike, obviously, UC star, stud, forever, Bearcat. And then in our meeting room was also Travis Kelce, and trying to keep him straight in those early years when he was in there, and Jason being my center and Travis being in there in the quarterback room and as a freshman and being like, Travis, we got to make all this work, or stay with us. Let's get after it. We're going to need you. You are a predominant athlete out here. We need you in the thing. So that was great.
Okay. There's a name you didn't mention there that I know you've got 30 great stories about. Give me your best Craig Carey story.
Oh man, Craig! Listen, Craig and I still chat. Yeah, I mean, great quarterbacks.
Craig's a friend of mine. I love busting.
Oh god, I got so many Craig. Listen, Craig was also my roommate, so I have known him. I've seen him and his wife from the onset, getting to know each other, and that whole relationship blow up. But Craig, I'll tell you what, people at Elder can teach you how to drink beer. Is the West knows what they're doing, and so I expect a lot of Cincy Light to be drank on the West Side.
Look,
nothing else.
They legitimately have college tailgates at Elder High School.
I believe
I once saw. I won't mention his name, but I once saw a local TV sports reporter try to get into the private parking lot at Elder because they were doing like a pregame thing. And like he tried to get in without the you do not enter if you don't have a pass. And he was like, I heard him, do you know who I am? And the guy at the gate was like, I don't care who you are. Like, these spots are all taken and you don't have a pass. You get to park. And he, like, you could see him jogging down the sidewalk to get to his TV hit. That's how serious an Elder they take tailgating. Like, if you don't have a pass, you don't get into the parking lot to tailgate with that group.
Man, I still have never been over there to the pit. I need to get like
what you need to do, and I'm sure Craig can hook you up. The best place to go is there's like a house that has like a giant deck at the back of their property that overlooks the pit. And like, that's just, they own the people that own the house. Nobody lives there.
What?
That nobody lives there. That's where everybody goes to drink and watch the Elder games, like
That's
from
hilarious.
these people's backyard, from this built-in deck that's like overlooks the pit.
Man, this sounds like Green Bay. Have you ever been up to Green Bay for
I have not.
Packers games?
I've been to the stadium. I haven't been to a game, but yeah, I mean, it's like literally in the middle of a neighborhood where the houses were all built in like the 50s and 60s, and
you can't watch a game, but the tailgate scene literally across the street from the stadium is unbelievable. But that reminds me of it. It sounds so similar. No, I do need to go. Next big game, I'm going to reach out to Craig. I need to. It's always a good catch up with Mr. Carey.
Craig's
Actually was in the
hilarious.
quarterback room also with his brother randomly.
Yeah.
So.
Not as much of a character as Craig, though.
No, not as loud as Craig. I would say Colin is still a character. He is just quiet and like it's a little drier humor, but man, he's gonna man, he will have you laughing in that room.
Craig and I go way back and have always had a great relationship and love Craig. How close were you to walking on the basketball team? Was it ever like something that almost happened?
No, it didn't almost. I mean, I had scholarships to go actually play other places, but as far as at UC, when they put the call out, and that's when Connor Barwin went and played, and all that happened, I talked to Coach D, and I was like, "Hey, Coach, I think I'm going to go over there for that tryout," and he's like, "No, you're not. That is not happening, Dustin. There is no chance we're going to have the starting quarterback also playing basketball at this university." So I didn't get that. That wasn't really ever an option from Coach D, but I don't regret that. I understood completely and knew I needed to be working with my receivers in the offseason if we really wanted to do something.
How great was Marty Gilliard?
Marty had talent like you would not believe. Like the closest thing I know to Ocho Cinco in the college ranks was Marty Gilliard. Like just like wild, telling stories, loving everyone, loving where like just the outlet that was for his personality to be in front of people, to also be going. I mean, he was at all types of charity events, doing all that he could, but he just loved being in the spotlight. Worked his butt off to be as good as he was, but man, he was fast. I'll tell you, there were some receivers that were just excellent. I had Stu, he was amazing. Obviously, Goody was my probably top receiver the whole time I was there. But what people often don't know is there's so many guys on the team, and they used to joke and say, these guys like just can't get it right? Just cannot get grades, can't get whatever. But some just athletes that were insane that I'm like, please figure this out. We need you on the field. You have so much talent. But I don't know, that's the game.
Dave?
Actually, I used to play flag football with Goody, so that was in his twilight. But
I wasn't a part of that. I played flag football with Goody as well out there. They wouldn't let me play quarterback. I had to play receiver.
we were up at River's Edge, and he was playing with us up at River's Edge. So yeah, he was.
Goody
it was
will
a lot
always
of
be
fun.
out there. You call him today. Ask him to get out and play some flag.
I don't doubt that for a second.
No way.
The biggest hands, other than Coriante DeBerry, the biggest hands you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Just throw it in his general direction, and he's going to catch it.
It's true. So true.
Just let's go back a little bit into the actual on the field stuff. What games, stick out to you, whether it was the way you played, whether it was just something that happened, kind of in the locker room, or like what are a couple of your biggest games that you still look back on, or when you guys get all together, you talk about the most?
Man, one of the games we'll always talk about the most is the Hawaii game. When I came back in, Pike wasn't feeling the best. His last game, senior year, I was coming off of a, dislocated ankle and broken leg. The fact that I was even trying to play was kind of crazy. And I was able to come in there when we were down, make that toss to Marty. Hit Marty, sprint out of the pocket, hit Marty on a change up. He basically outed a post, hit him on that, and he made a move, and we scored. And next thing you know, we beat Hawaii, and we may have already had that BCS bowl bid coming, but that solidified us getting into the Orange Bowl that year. So that was a big one. And that same year for me, that and Louisville, when I wasn't supposed to go in, when that was early. I don't even know how many weeks after my injury. I definitely was not supposed to go in. I don't think I was fully cleared, but Pike was going out, and we were about to put a freshman in down 7 at Louisville for the Keg and Nails on my senior year. And there was just no way I was going to let that happen. Ended up going in there. We ran the ball a lot. I think I got Goody on a couple good slants to get us down the field. We scored the winning touchdown, and that was all that year when I started the season. Pike came in. We had Chaz Anderson play some. Flares played back to Pike. I came in 2 other games, and we make it to the Orange Bowl. What is that?
At Akron or at Toledo? It was at a MAC school that Chaz came in. You guys had, and that kind of started about a decade straight of UC never making it through a season with one quarterback.
Right.
One
or
season,
2 or 3, it felt like.
The year that you got against Oklahoma, right? I think you played 4 quarterbacks that year. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until Dez, I think, there was literally about 10 straight years. Did you guys ever just talk about how can we be so snake bit where just the quarterbacks are getting hurt, on kind of freak plays, not right. Not typical run-of-the-mill injuries. I mean, you're getting broken legs and broken arms and stuff that doesn't happen typically.
I mean, we didn't know what to think. It was just everyone just hoping they're not getting hurt. We're in the quarterback room is I guess everyone be ready. I don't know what's going to happen next. Just stay after. But yeah, it continued. I remember someone had a similar injury to me later on. And it was a continuation. I just feel we're playing up in some in the league, and it's just always, how do you protect yourself? The types of offense we were running, you're going to have injuries, but I feel like we all needed to learn to slide. I got in a lot of trouble for that. Listen, I had, plenty of injuries.
You weren't a baseball guy. You were a basketball guy.
I know, but I hated to slide. I just it just, I don't know. It felt against the sport, but looking back, I'm like, man, I wish I slid a lot more. My body would be happy with me now.
How much of a shock to the system? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
If you didn't get hurt against Oklahoma, do you think you guys would have won?
Yeah, of course. What do you?
Because Marty had one of the most absurd games ever. I still remember. So somebody made it. It's on YouTube. His highlight video from that game is set to the Roy Jones Jr. when he was boxing, when he would come out.
No way.
Yes, and when he had the 3 kickoff, it's one of the most insane highlight videos. What he did that game.
Oh, man.
He had 3 kickoff returns for touchdowns, and I think 2 receiving touchdowns, or something like that.
I mean, there were just a few. I mean, we needed to obviously. There were some changes that needed to be made, but I felt like we had a real chance. I felt like we were in such a battle and playing so hard, and that was just, man, I'll never forget that happening. And like all the things that went through my head, and because like as a quarterback, like that's what's so much fun, right? You're playing this chess game, and everything is happening like this. You're making decisions as fast as you can imagine, and then all of a sudden the pocket collapses. You got 3 monsters on you. I'm thinking, get down, try to get down, like I'm not trying to get hurt, right? I got 3 guys on me. There's no way I'm getting out of this. And instead of like fighting against it, I'm thinking, try to go down. My foot got stuck in the ground and just torqued out, man, and just everything ripped, right? It's like that quick. And I always look back and I'm like, that's why you fight every single second when you're out there. You just keep pushing against it. And, but yeah, I don't, it's hard to say. We were down, what were we down at that point? Like 17, 14?
It was like every time. I mean, it would be
They
like
were
they'd
making
score.
They made big plays like that.
They'd score. He'd take the kickoff back for a touchdown. Then they'd score. Like it never. It was always a little bit out of reach. So I might be like a little exaggerating. Could we have won? But like I think they did not realize, like, didn't think that we could score that much or that he was that type of a dude.
No, they definitely didn't think we were going to be that. But I'll tell you, in the trenches, the size of their line was massive.
I think they had like Tommy Harris and
oh my God,
Dustin Dvorak, like dudes that played 10 years in the NFL defensive line and
everywhere. On the defensive line, I think 4 of their 5 were drafted that year on the offensive line as well. I mean, I think that was the biggest challenge of that game. We had, I think we equalized to them in a lot of places, but I just think they had, like you said, 10-year starters in the NFL and all those positions, and we held our own, but it was a rough battle.
How much of a shock to the system was Brian Kelly?
Oh man,
like D'Antonio is one personality, Brian Kelly is a different personality. What was it like early in that transition as you went from like, a kind of a hard ass, but D'Antonio was kind of like this, and BK was
like family. It was family.
It wasn't family.
or the exact opposite.
Yeah. Listen, Mark was your player's coach, right? Something happens, go home, take care of your family, do all that type of stuff. He is for you. It felt very much like he's a member of your family. Was a large part of why I actually chose to go to UC and different things. And I had already been, starting 2 years. D'Antonio comes in, Kelly comes in, and I felt like he was cutting the legs out. If you were one of D'Antonio's guys, get out of here. I mean, he and I did not agree on a lot of things early on. I mean, I was trying to do my best, but I feel like this dude just hates me. There's nothing I can do to win. And I feel like that battled out for the next year. And I mean, Ben came in and Ben couldn't fully throw at first. And, he ended up starting and having a great year. Like Ben did great for us my junior season.
Talk about a big personality.
Oh yeah, Ben's wild. He comes in and Kelly ends up bringing me his office, and he's like, I like Ben's swag. I've known him, all this different stuff, and in my head, I'm like, he hasn't even been able to fully practice. He's been injured. Like
he's got a robot arm.
Yeah, he's going through a lot. He's just out of surgery and all the different things, and my goal was I'm going to stay after. I'm going to keep training as hard as I could. I ran after every practice. You don't get as many reps, right? You run the 2s. So I'd run after every practice. I'd stay in shape, do all the different things. I was like, I'm going to keep getting better. Ben's here for 1 year. I'm not going anywhere. We didn't have a transfer portal either. Don't know if I would have done it like ever, but because I was like Bearcat, like, till I die. I felt like that was like where my head was at, but I was like, I'm going to play again. That is going to happen. And, I got to play that season a couple of times when Ben was hurt, but I feel like that won some respect with Brian. And by the time senior year came, it's like, you got the keys to the Cadillac. Hope you're ready. Let's do this, and we're like, on the same page. We're going to make this happen. I didn't feel like I ever had to look over to the side, do the clap and then look for the play. He was giving me like 3 or 4 plays to go, I trust you. And I was excited about that. And, two games in, my career is basically over. So that was a wild time. But man, Brian came in with an energy and a want to succeed that was like, you're going to follow him. If you're not, get out. Like you're a part of this, or get the hell out of here, because I am going to win. I know how to win. I'm going to have the entire community behind me. Actually, in like my life of like entrepreneurship, I've told people I learned a lot from Brian Kelly. I saw how he was able to engage a crowd, have a commitment to what he was talking about, why he like people should be a part of it, and engage them and bring them in. He had a whole way of selling his game plans to our team, to believe in him, to believe in the next man in concept. And I'll tell you, I think he built a winning formula around that. Now, as a player, it's tough because it's like, next man in, like, hey,
you're all just expendable. Like,
yeah, it's a little tough on that side. And that's why I say like D'Antonio is much more of a player's coach and like cared and super like had a lot of, D'Antonio did great. And then he left us. That was a big moment. Had 20 guys in my room trying to figure out what do we do. We saw it on the bottom line. It's a crazy change, but I still feel like UC has continuously had coaches that have excelled and gone on. We just lost Luke, but Satterfield's coming in here and hopefully going to take this program and just run with it. The potential that we have at UC is just so high, and I've talked to their staff. I've heard them; they are all about it and believe the same. They're like, the potential here at UC, we haven't met it fully. And we've had the success that we have had. So that should tell you a lot about where they think we can take this.
How pissed off were you when they moved Connor to defensive end?
Oh, God. Oh, man.
He was so good at tight end. Like, it ended up being the best move, but he was so good at tight end.
Listen, you want to hear a funny story? We were at camp. We're talking to scouts, at this point before season, you're talking to scouts and they're telling you where they think they're going to draft you, right? Whether it's, you're talking to all these different guys. You're like, oh man, you do what we think you're going to do this year. All this is happening. So we're out there and we're going to go live for like 5 plays. Brian's like, all right, we're going to go live for 5 plays. I drop back. He's coming. He's on my backside. I don't know who he beat on our line. I couldn't tell you right now, but I'm back there and I step up to throw what we call the bang route, like a quick post, like a 5-step post, almost like a deep slant.
Yeah.
And as I'm throwing it, Connor's diving through my ribs. This is like 3 weeks before our first game. He's just like long, like I just fly and like land, and I got bruised ribs the rest of the week. I get like they take me out the rest of that practice. I'm just hanging out with the scout now, just over there talking with him. Like, yeah, Connor's obviously a beast. He's in the right position now. Y'all should try to get him. I don't know. Like, he just tried to kill me.
He was a freak. Like I always said, like when you talk about the difference between football and basketball, Connor looked like a monster on a football field. Like just muscles on muscles and athleticism, and then you put him on the basketball court and they had him guarding like Greg Oden, and he looked like he was 5'8".
He looked small, right? A 6'4", 245, 250, whatever is looking
like
small.
A beast of a human being, and he looked like. But the great thing I loved about Connor when he played basketball is those dudes did not bully him. They did not. They couldn't move him. Yeah, they used to get so frustrated because they're like, I'm so much bigger than this dude, and I can't get to my spot because he's just an animal.
He is. And listen, Connor is a freak. He is a freak of nature. I've told him that for years. We were roommates for a little bit, and I'll never forget. We're about to like watch TV. I don't know, just hang out on the couch for a little bit, grabbing snacks. And the guy had bought, went into the grocery store. He comes out. He takes a whole thing of spinach, tosses it into a bowl. I don't think there was any fruit, anything else. And he goes and sits on the couch to watch TV. and there's Popeye in it, just Popeye in it, eating spinach. I was like, of course you're a freak. Like, who does this? Like, at that point, once again, I'm already like a senior. I'm like, all right, I didn't know what I didn't know. I should have been just like sitting on the couch eating spinach the last 5 years of my life.
How legendary really were Connor and Jason throwing back a couple what should have back in those days been Cincy lights. I've heard stories that Connor would have, a 6-pack gone in 15 minutes and not even blink.
I don't know. He's roommates with Craig. You tell me.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah. So I mean, listen. Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of beers in the off season, drank pretty solidly by the boys, and could go down quick. And man, the amount of stories we have. I mean, we had what I called the football house back then, where we have 7 guys living under one roof.
Mm-hmm. And Travis sleeping on a floor somewhere.
One of the Kelseys sleeping on the floor for sure. Like, I don't know which one sometimes. Oh man.
How cool has it been to see those two become like they're both going to be first ballot Hall of Famers. They're now Travis is going to be the best tight end in the history of football. And I think you're going to be able to make an argument that Jason is the best center in the history of football.
He's had longer, better.
First ballot Hall of Famers, both of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty unbelievable how that worked out. A lot of dedication. I think their brotherhood and their like competitive spirit, but also where they're there for each other all the way through was really strong. I mean, listen, I saw Jason go from a linebacker to a center. I was a part, like, I remember he used to point out, Mike pointing over at him, and then next thing I know, he's gaining weight. He's like, I'm gonna be a center, and next thing you know, he's my center. Like, I watched that transformation. It was amazing. So those guys, they dedicated to it. They worked their ass off, and honestly deserve every bit of it. I think it's hilarious that their mom's in the Hall of Fame before them. That's probably the best thing that could have happened. But I mean, they'll be right there. Both of them, Hall of Famers, arguably the best at their positions ever. And the fact that they both came from UC, pretty amazing story, and speaks to the depth of, like, I think the brotherhood of UC. Like, I would consider both those guys like brothers to me. If they come in, if they want to stay in my house, it'd be fine. Like, I saw Travis last year at the alumni outing. We had a great time. So, I mean, it's just, I think there's a grittiness to UC that's just like feels so normal in life that everyone, no matter what, gets along and like fights for each other. And I think that's a lot of probably programs and football teams in general. But man, did I feel close with the guys on our team. And anytime I see them, it's I don't know, it's so exciting, especially you see somebody that you haven't seen in 10, 15 years. I saw Bradley Glathar. I bet it'd been 10 years since I'd seen him. And, there's
a blast from the past.
There's a blast from the past, right? Another elder boy. But, you run into these guys every now and then, and it's just, it's always a pleasure. You're just, that, I don't know, sharing those stories, they go way back. The locker room stories and, wrestling matches of which class is the best class. Oh, my goodness. They go on and on.
Were you there for the helmet incident? How far did Jason really throw the helmet up the stands if you were there?
Oh, man.
Did he almost make it to Shank? That's the story, is he almost made it to Shank Pavilion with the helmet.
Listen, I don't know. I remember some stories from there. I remember girlfriends running down about to like beat a player's ass because whatever incident they had prior. I mean, there's so many things that have happened. We used to do our 5 a.m. workouts, and one of our guys had to use the restroom and would not quit, just would not quit. That was a memory that will never be forgotten of, just not making it,
Oh, he didn't make it.
No, he didn't make it. But
you remember Madden from way back in the day. He didn't make it.
He didn't make it. But you got stories like that stand the test of time with your boys that everyone remembers. That's what, as they say, keeps you young when you go back and see all your fellow teammates.
All right, we kept you on here way too long. We'll have you back, and we'll do the NIL thing. I know you got a little.
Yeah, we barely touched on it.
We'll get back to that at some other time. But you've been awesome, man. It's been great catching up and sharing some stories and talking about the old days. And we'll have you back right around when it actually launches.
Hey man, I'm trying to have that first dollar ready. I'm trying to pay for that first beer if they let me.
Yeah.
So
We'll all three pop a top.
Yeah,
and give our reviews on the podcast.
Oh yeah, we can do beer review on the podcast. That'd be great.
Yeah, that's a plan. All right, we appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot, Dustin.
Hi guys.
You've been awesome.
Thank you.
And it's great catching up. Thanks, man.
Same. Cheers.
All right, there you go. Dustin Grutza, former Cincinnati starting quarterback. We could have gone 3 hours.
Well, you could have gone 3 hours.
I know. I had a lot. I'm sorry.
I would have left after 2.
Yeah, that's right. At 2, you would have quit. But that dude, it's one of those guys that was there for the beginning of all of this. Like, he was one of the pioneers of this and was a starting quarterback so many times throughout D'Antonio and BK and played a part in the Orange Bowl year and bringing this thing, back to – or bringing this thing not even back to really, but into the forefront of college football. So I knew when I saw him yesterday, I was like, we got to have him on tomorrow night. We have to. Like we won't be doing our listeners justice if we don't have Dustin on tonight to catch up.
I mean, of course there is we joke that there's we always wonder what are we going to talk about. We always figure it out. There is a insane amount of things to discuss currently, but this is usually the time where where I'm calling you and be like, got any guests we can have because what are we going to talk about for a couple hours and so it just happens to coincide with a couple week period where there's like a million things and we're going to have to do rapid fire for the rest of the show because I don't feel like being on here till midnight.
I still have no idea what we talked about for 2 hours on Monday night. And that was before all the news dropped. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, we knew about Cincy Light. We just couldn't really talk about it yet.
We've known about Nike and Jordan for
months. And months. Yeah.
But what?
We talk about it yet. Now we can.
What it was?
Hooray!
All right.
So where do you want to start?
Wherever. Just go at this point.
You want to let's before we really get into the other stuff. Let's do Bearcat of the Week.
All right. Did you get any nominations?
We have multiple nominations that I think are fairly interesting.
Okay.
So let's start with the ad. Team Ticker, see it right there. It's awesome. Right now, it is rolling through the UC football schedule for this upcoming season. It's about 6 minutes, Dave. Like, it gives you 6 minutes of information
before it loops.
Yeah, before it loops back. So, I mean,
did the golf scores show up today?
They had golf on there earlier. I don't know if they updated the final, but they had the information through yesterday. Nice. So they, UC ditching Under Armour for Nike, Kentucky offensive lineman DeAndre Buford transfers to UC, groundbreaking for new practice facility, 528. Like, you get everything that's happening right there on your Team Ticker in your man cave or your office or wherever you want to put it. It's really, really cool stuff. TeamTicker.com through the weekend or through Memorial Day weekend, they are offering $50 off. So instead of $2.99, you can get it for $2.49. Just go to teamticker.com and get yourself one of the coolest pieces of UC memorabilia you can get. It is a great addition to any room. It livens up right here. It does a great job in the background that Aaron has with a lot of stuff going on, a lot of different pieces of memorabilia, and right in the center, front and center, you've got the Team Ticker. So it's very, very cool. So Go get you one. Teamticker.com. $50 off through the holiday weekend. All right, let's go through here, Dave. So we have Sam Jean, the medalist for golf. We have Brian Fox.
Yes.
Nominated for the outstanding work at Cincy Reigns. We have Mudani Shatters, who broke the UC shot put record and was the AAC champion in the shot put.
Did he break it or did he shatter that record?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what was the old record.
I don't. His last name Shatters, so he's being punny. I got a nomination from my guy Chop. John Cunningham with the nomination.
Obviously not you.
Yeah, it's not me for sure. John Cunningham with multiple nominations. So who do you think? Sam Jean, Doug Martin, the track and field shot put record holder now, and Udani Shatters.
That would be my vote.
Okay.
I mean, you win. You won the AAC
American Championship. Yeah.
You're in the NCAAs. It sounds like he has a realistic shot to be an Olympian. Whenever the next, I don't even know when the next Summer Olympics are, but so yes, I would vote for him. He went out on his field, won something of major note, and seems to have a big time throwing career ahead of him.
Yeah, I'll agree. I think I would give John Cunningham the runner-up. He's had for an AD. You release renderings of your $100 million practice facility. You kind of work behind the scenes with Cincy Reigns and Rheingeist. You get the Nike Jordan return. That's a pretty good week for an AD.
Next Summer Olympics are in 2024.
Next summer. All right.
Yeah, next summer. He's trending towards with his numbers.
I would think he'll throw for France. He might have a better chance of making the Olympic team. France. I don't know how many great shot putters the French produce versus the Americans, but
So there you go. We are going this week. Your team ticker, Bearcat of the week, Mudani Shatters, who broke the UC shot put record and was the AAC championship, moving on to the NCAA track and field national champions. So congratulations, Mudani, for this prestigious honor.
Your prize is on its way.
Yeah. Team ticker.
Yeah. Send him one. Come on.
Appreciate you, Chop. I'm a close second. I think that Sean Jean, medaling in the
Well, that's not really true. Medalist is the person that finishes first.
Well, yeah. So
he was the low Bearcat. He was not the low person in his regional. Medalist is like the guy or lady that wins.
Yeah. Where'd he finish? Top 10 or?
Let's see. Player leaderboard. He finished T9th, 13 under for the week. So pretty
Top
darn
10,
good.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Yep.
You want to touch on the golf?
Yeah, I mean, they ended up finishing 8th in the region. The region was pretty loaded. Shot 10 under today, 29 under for the tournament. I know Coach Martin talked about needing 4 guys to shoot 5 under, 20 under today. Wouldn't have even mattered. I mean, they would have had to have shot 24 under just to get into a playoff for the 5th spot. They clearly, there's good and bad to it. They played arguably the easiest course in the regionals. Arizona State won the region with 59 under. Stanford was 57 under. So you can say, well, there's a lot of birdies to be made. But if you're not on your game, everybody else is probably going to make a bunch of birdies too. So it's hard to come back. You can come back easier on a harder course because the leaders can falter. And if you just play a little bit better. You can versus this, they were just too far behind. They had it going yesterday afternoon. We're only a couple
Wait,
shots.
by the way, we screwed up.
What did we do?
Whoever put that in my that name, his name's Fred Mudani.
Oh, well, apologies to Fred. Where did we come up with that?
It was in my
I mean, is that
mentions.
even a real person?
I don't know. No, his name's Fred Mudani.
So it was Fred.
I was just
Mudani.
rolling with Shatters.
So it was Fred Mudani Shatters record, and you went with Mudani Shatters as his name.
No, that's what his name was. Somebody said in my mentions when I asked for nominations, they said his name was Mudani Shatters for breaking Mudani Shatters for breaking the record.
Yeah, well, I think it was maybe they read Fred Mudani Shatters record.
Yeah, and they his name was Fred Mudani. We screwed that up royally, and Fred, I'm sorry.
Yeah, apologies, Fred.
Jeez, you guys got to do better. Like we're counting on.
Is that name French? Fred?
Frederick?
Frederic?
Frederick?
Yeah.
Frederick Weiss?
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
But yeah, yesterday afternoon they had it going, starting on the back nine, couple shots out of fifth, and 3-hour weather delay popped up and just totally killed momentum. The front nine was the harder nine anyway. They go out on the front and put up 3 doubles and a quad, and really from there you just got no shot with the rest of these teams that are playing the way they're playing. Very, very good learning experience, as Coach said. 3 freshmen on the team, a lot of talent coming back next year, but also shows. And yes, Chelsea, I agree. I opened up before the podcast asking Chad, did you get any good nominations for Bearcat of the Week, since we hadn't even put it out there. So
that was my fault. I got to get in the rhythm of doing that Wednesday morning. This is only the second one. I'm getting there.
I agree. It's all right. We'll make it.
We had a good nomination. I think
did.
the right guy won.
The people came through. They came through.
Get off my back.
But good learning experience. First time making the tournament. I kind of equated this to like when 2021 football, when you have a really good year and then you go up against a perennial power and it kind of humbles you a little bit, and you see that like we had a really good year but we're not quite there. Like you're in a region with Arizona State and Stanford. Stanford has one of the best amateurs in the country and another guy that's played in the US Open. Like Arizona State has a really young team, but I mean, if you called them 5 stars, they'd have all 5 stars. So you're just not quite there yet, but you have a lot of talent coming back, a lot of talent incoming, and I'm sure the young guys will take this experience and build off it going into the Big 12. Connor asked, how good is the Big 12 in golf? It's really damn good. I mean,
it feels like the conference is actually really good in pretty much everything.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'd call it really good in football. It's going to be very balanced in football. There's no like tent pole program after Oklahoma and Texas leave, but there's also no drag. No one that
other than Kansas.
But they're not even a drag anymore.
At this moment, they're not. But
right.
For eternity, they have.
Sure, anybody could become. Someone's always got to finish last. But like, there's
just
no
in the Big 12. It's almost always Kansas.
Yeah, there's just right now it's West Virginia.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, they're good at men's basketball. They're good at women's basketball. They're good at baseball. They're good at golf. I have no idea if they're good at track and field. I think they're good at softball, but we don't have a softball team, so I don't care. Yeah, they're kind of, you're going to have to play whatever sport it is you play. We're going to have to elevate every aspect of our programs. There's no 2 ways around it.
Yeah. All right, you want to do? I think we've talked enough about Cincy Light, but I would like. What's your take on Cincy Reigns going down this path, introducing it as a light beer, 4.2? It's going to be at a great price point. It's going to be competitive. Like it has a chance to really be a thing in this city, I think.
Yeah, I mean it does, and I'll be interested just to see like how wide the distribution ends up being. I know they've said like anywhere Rheingeist is sold. I mean, Rheingeist is sold in Nashville, Tennessee. So like, are we going all the way down there, or are we just talking like the Cincinnati northern?
I think the plan initially is for Cincinnati, and then if it becomes a thing, like I could see it being. I don't know how much it's gonna like. If you put it in Nashville, how much people are gonna be like, "Ooh, Cincy Light," like. You know what I mean?
But people, I mean, I know a lot of my friends. I mean, they like Rheingeist, so they might. I know,
Yeah.
It's not going to sell at the same level. But I mean, I did some very, very back of the envelope math. Say 10,000 people buy a 12-pack each week to bring to the football game. You're looking times 7 home games. You're looking at like almost $1 million in just like basic sales.
Yeah. So, I think it's something that, and I meant to ask Dustin this and I forgot, but I think more importantly, like you're getting Cincy Reigns out there. There's going to be a QR code on the back of every can that takes you right to Cincy Reigns.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, and I don't know, what they're doing from a Cincinnati business standpoint, what they're like, and it's not necessarily like a critique. I just don't hear much or see much, about what's going on with them. I mean, I know there's things happening behind the scenes, but this is certainly like their first forward facing, like, here we are, here's what we do. This is one of the ideas that we had as a way to supplement NIL money and those things. I mean, and I know things move at whatever pace they move, and I don't know what anybody else's NILs are doing. Like I just don't care. So it might be a thing that's just always kind of behind the scenes and not really, public, so to speak. So, but I mean, this is, if you buy any other type of beer like that and you're a UC fan, like, I'm a very specific like game day beer drinker, but I'll have no problem subbing that out.
If it's good.
I don't even care if it's good.
I know, but I'm saying if it's good, and I have no reason to believe it's not going to be good. Like if it's good,
yeah,
it should be everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, like you can still drink your Bud Light, Miller Lite, just buy a 12-pack and throw it in your cooler at the games, and people will, pick what they want. I mean, yeah. So I think it'll be good. I think there'll obviously be UC fans that'll be incentivized to go buy it, knowing that a portion of it is going directly back
into the program,
to the players, and this is all athletes, I assume, right? Like this isn't like specific to one program or sport.
No,
right?
it's whatever. Like, if you make donations, you can donate to like specifically like.
But like, I mean, this is just like say it's $100,000. It's just going into the, the NIL pool that goes out to the players, or I should say athletes. I mean, because I'm But no, I mean it's a great idea. I hope they do more things. I mean, I know you and I, and things happen, and it's probably not going to happen this year. Like we talked about a golf event. Like I think Cincy Reigns would be the one to perfectly set that up.
Yeah, that was the plan, was to work with Cincy Reigns.
To get the donations, to get the athletes to show up, to get the coaches to show up, like to make it.
If we can't make it happen now for 2023, which is very tight.
It's not. I mean, you're not gonna. I mean, it's almost June. Your dates to do events are gone. Like, the courses have given out their days to do events.
We will have one in 2024. I guarantee that. Like, we will work this off season with the right people, with the right channels. Now that Dustin's on the board and We've become a lot more familiar with Dustin. Maybe we work a little bit more with him. We're going to have one in 2024. Like, that is, lock it in. Stone cold fact. Unfortunately.
Stone Cold, here's a throwback. Stone Cold lead pipe lock of the week. old SVP shows right there.
Unfortunately, shit happened.
Well, and you need like on this type of thing, like I know what to do, but like I have a job that I have to devote,
Right.
You need other people involved where I can come in and like, be a consultant, so to speak, but like it's being managed by Cincy Reigns and how they just like they're doing with the Rheingeist thing.
Yeah. It will happen in 2024. I promise. Life just sucked this spring.
Yeah.
So, Jordan, Nike, BSN, all of the talk and the conversation around everything today. Dave, go.
I'm not the right person to discuss this topic because while I like uniforms and I don't care.
I'm the same. I don't really care.
Aaron,
care. Do you want to chime in here? I know we talked about it yesterday. I don't care.
I gave my 2 cents last night. Yeah. I mean, I'm a brand whore, so that should surprise.
Like, I mean, I had like I'm probably on an island of about 3 people that was like I had a pair of the white Adidas. I don't even know what they called them. I call them like Zubas, like that they wore in the conference tournament in MSG the one year. I had a pair of those white basketball shorts and I loved them, and I left them at a hotel, and I'm like still pissed off because they were super comfortable. But like I just like it doesn't. I don't know. It's not something that I get too worked up about. I mean, they're gonna look very much like most teams that wear Nike for football, which is pretty basic stuff. Like Adidas and Under Armour kind of go more unique with what they've done. Football uniforms for Nike are pretty generic. Now you'll get some very, very specific school.
Unless
touches.
You're Oregon, right?
Well, yeah. They've gone too far now. Like
they jumped the shark. I agree.
I want them to go back and just be like, hey, can you just be like orange and green again and not like all these different variations of
yellow and green?
Yeah, or yellow and green. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, it's like, but anyway, yeah, I understand the BSN angle to this, but it's like not even worth being the actually guy about it because like who cares? I mean, they're gonna have the swoosh, they're gonna have the jump man. Like it's not like the swoosh is gonna be backwards and the jump man's gonna be upside down. Like no one will have a damn clue, or would have a clue if they didn't even put that in a press release. Like no one in the public would have any idea just looking at uniforms how they're getting into UC's hands.
Yeah, and I think for 2 years they'll be fairly generic, but again, to your point, Nike uniforms generally are fairly generic.
I mean, I'm a Tennessee fan. We just got like smoke helmets. That was like the big thing. Was like our uniforms have been as generic as they can be. So,
as for Jordan, I think you'll see. I think it'll end up being close to what the 90s were with the block on the side and what Rayvon has thrown out. I think it'll be some semblance of that. That said, who knows? But I don't know. I mean, Chad hit the nail on the head last night when he said that it's for the recruiting purposes. The kids want to wear Nike. They want to wear Jordan. They don't want to wear Under Armour. They don't want to wear Adidas. They want
to recruit the EYBL. You're better off wearing Nike, like or Jordan, especially like one way or the other.
Yeah, I feel like this is much more of a basketball play than a football play. Like I don't think any football players care whether it's
Nike
Under Armour or Nike.
Not as much, but I think it matters. Like getting Nike gear matters.
A little bit, not as much as it did, like I would say 10, 15 years ago. But Yeah, I
At
think
the end of the day, I think what the players are going to get paid is probably what matters more
Right.
than Nike or
I
Jordan.
think it'll be like
this is a perk. It's another feather in the cap.
I think the basketball unions
apparently
will,
Wes said in Cleveland tonight that UC designed the basketball uniforms.
I think that's coming from third person, from people who have gone to see Wes. And
No, there was like they did a caravan thing tonight in Cleveland where Wes
right.
spoke.
I understand. I didn't know if that's been publicly released, or I know.
I don't think the people that were there lied about it.
Well, I know Mike Boston said that he had a 10-minute conversation with Wes Miller and then said, I've been sworn to, I can't put any of this on Twitter. And who knows what conversations were had thereafter of people who were like, I need to know what happened. Tell me what happened, Mike.
I think there'll be like a version 2.0 or version 3.0 of those uniforms. There will to us as Bearcat fans and to people of a certain age who grew up watching college basketball during that time period, they will look very similar to those uniforms, but they will not be absolutely identical. Like, I doubt the C-Paw will be on the ass.
I still hope that's a thing. It's like, just throw it all the way back to that.
I actually hope they make them out of the same material because those things weighed about 5 pounds.
Oh my God. Like I had somebody who was a manager back then that had a bag full of like stuff from those days. And he gave it to me. And I like all of it was like literally 30-pound cotton. Like
just make it the same length and bring Baggy back. I'm just going to keep saying it until it happens.
Did Nike have to approve the deal still? Look, if they didn't have Nike's blessing, this wouldn't be happening.
No.
Like, let's
Nike isn't allowing BSN to sell their merchandise to teams that they don't want them selling it to.
Here's my understanding of this thing, and I talked about it a little last night. UC and Nike and Jordan have been in talks for a considerable amount of time. If you've paid attention to what we've said, there has always been, eventually there was going to be a deadline where if they didn't figure out something, they were going to have to wear Under Armour next year.
With no Under Armour logos on it.
Like, well, no, it would have been through BSN. There still would have been Under Armour logos, but like...
Oh, I thought they would have had to been removed because the deal was done.
No, it essentially could have run through 2024 if they wanted it to. Like, if they had to, they could have been Under Armour branding again. It just would have been through BSN, the same as it's been since Under Armour bought out of the deal 2 years ago. So it is what it is. Like, if they wanted to be Nike and Jordan, this was the only way it was going to happen. I know there are a lot of people out there that, I talked to a guy at Foot Locker this week, and he said that nothing like this is possible. Dave, do you know the last time? Did
you just make that up, or did someone really say I talked to a guy at Foot Locker?
Somebody said I talked to an insider, a person with insider connections.
I talked to a guy that didn't graduate high school that's wearing a referee jersey and selling me some shoes, and he said, "There's no way this could happen."
Please ask the question. Do you know the last time I was in a Foot Locker? Because I would love to know when the last time was that you were in a Foot Locker.
I was being a smartass, but
yeah, 1996.
Answer me this, Dave. Aaron, you can stay. I want to know your answer too.
I'm sorry.
Who is the last school you think signed a Nike deal for their football, for their athletics department?
Well, certainly
Who
not
do you
UCF.
think is the last school that did this?
Like the most recent?
The most recent school to sign a Nike deal.
That wasn't Nike before.
Correct.
Houston?
No.
They're Jordan.
Well, no, they're Nike for football.
Well, it wasn't Houston.
Michigan?
Nope.
I don't know.
Florida Atlantic, 2021. Nike has not signed a new school to an apparel deal in 2 years. Why? Nike is having massive supply chain issues. Nike is not in a position to add new schools to their roster at this moment. So UC has been well down the road with Nike, well down the road with Jordan in these conversations. Like, do people think really UC's just been, it's taken 12 months, 18 months to iron out a deal with BSN? Give me a fucking break. Like, things with Nike are well down the road for the future. Things with Jordan are well down the road for the future. But in the position Nike is at, Nike is not adding schools at this moment. So Cincinnati could do one of two things. Do what they did. Go with BSN and Nike Jordan for now. And wait for things to clear up and Nike to be back on solid ground and to start adding schools again. Or they could have stayed with Under Armour BSN and they would have been Under Armour in the first year of the Big 12. They did not want that. The staff did not want that. The athletic department did not want that. The basketball program did not want that. The football program did not want that. They wanted to make whatever move they could to accelerate being under a Nike umbrella and to be wearing Nike gear, to have Nike, the swoosh on your uniforms, to have Jumpman on the basketball uniforms. This was the best way to make that happen. So this is the avenue they took because they had two options. Do what they did or stay with Under Armour and hope that Nike was ready to go by the time next summer rolled around. And now they've given themselves a little bit of extra leeway.
It's just the minutia of it. I just don't care. Aside from me not caring, it does seem like a lot of people, or some people, not affiliated with UC in any way, shape, or form, seem to care, which makes me laugh as someone who gets a giggle out of those types of things, like why certain programs that are air quotes rivals or of the Bearcats, why do you care? I don't understand that. I could never for the life of me think of a single situation that would get me to care about your programs outside of us playing them in a sport. So I think that's funny.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really have much. I'm not the best person to discuss this topic because I don't. This is one where I ascribe to the it's okay not to have an opinion on everything, and it's also okay to not share your opinions on everything as well.
Well, I mean, I've talked to people close to UC. I've talked to people affiliated with Nike that maybe they're not the ones negotiating the UC deal, but they understand the issues that Nike's having right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think from that standpoint, in a mass production type of space, I mean, you're still going to have COVID-related supply chain issues. Like, it's all certainly not fixed, from whether it's logistics, whether it's materials, whether it's production. There's a lot that goes into all this stuff that can keep things from working on the timeline that we all hope they could work on. And Bearcat 12, I have no idea what
Rick is saying that I'm lying and that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well,
that's what Rick is saying. Because he talked to two guys that work at Foot Locker. That was the joke.
Oh, okay.
I talked to industry sources in the apparel business that are telling me.
I guess my question would be why would you be so inclined to even have that conversation?
Because he thinks he has to shit on UC at every
I'm pretty sure all the people in this chat know that I run the Twitter account. There literally is not one damn thing like they could do that I would be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call some people and find out if what they're saying is true or not. Like,
didn't you and Rick used to work together?
That doesn't mean I have to. He's calling me out and saying what I'm saying is a lie.
That's my point. Like, couldn't he just call you and be like, "Yo, what's the truth here?" Like, you guys did a show together, for God's sake. Be better, Rick.
He chose the route that he chose, so I'm going to talk about it here.
Yeah,
It's what it is. I don't care.
I don't understand. Like, why do you like? Same thing with that UCF guy. Like, why do you care?
Yeah.
You just like I guess you want to just get off a joke on Twitter, which I'm all about getting off jokes on Twitter. But like,
but he didn't get off a joke. He basically just said, "I'm lying
right
to our members.
Yeah,
that I made this up to cover UC's ass."
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like, even if that was the case, like, that's never happened on their side of things.
Whatever. Yeah. Neither here nor there.
Right. Exactly. I mean, whatever.
Hi to the Xavier people listening tonight. I'm sure this will be on the Xavier message board in
I appreciate
30 seconds. All right.
Yeah.
Good to hear from you. But that's just it is what it is. It's like a weird market right now. Nobody is signing people. No, in fact, Under Armour's actively dumping people, actively getting out of the industry.
Yeah, is their UCLA lawsuit ever get?
I don't know. UCLA's Jordan. You know what UCLA is having with Jordan and Nike? Supply chain.
Yeah, but UCLA sued Under Armour.
Yeah, for canceling the deal.
Breach of contract. Yeah.
Yeah, for trying to buy out of the deal.
Because they signed him to like a 10-year, $500 million contract.
And then like 3 years later, they were like, "This is too much for us.
This is not working out."
So yeah, like the bottom line is when UC takes the field in football in September, they will be wearing Nike. When UC takes the basketball court in November, they will be wearing Jordan.
Yep.
What else, Matt? What the gear that's going to be sold at the bookstore and Du Bois and Rally House? There's going to be a swoosh or a Jumpman on it. That's what matters.
It's not and the thing is, like, it's not like it's gonna be like in gold, like it's gonna be the same stuff, just has different logo on it.
It's not like there's gonna be somebody at Rally House that's just taking Nike T-shirts and like
dipping them in 24 karat gold.
No, like they're not gonna be buying Nike, like blank Nike equipment gear and like pressing the UC logo on them, the C-paw on them. Oh, look, we got Nike C-paws.
Screen printing shops and yeah.
Our guys at 513 shirts are going to be busy screen printing C-paws onto Nike gear. Yep. Like, do people think, Dave? Do they think?
You don't want my answer.
Is it perfect? Is it like the ideal situation? No. Because the whole market is not ideal for apparel contracts right now.
Yeah. I think we've spent enough time on this topic.
Yeah. We did renderings, right? Did we do that last week? No. What are your thoughts on the IPF?
Looks pretty damn sweet.
What are your thoughts on the people that said it looks like a caterpillar?
I mean, I can see that. What about
like
an accordion?
Yeah, I would say accordion more than a caterpillar.
Yeah, like
they have more of an accordion vibe than a caterpillar vibe. But
I think it's very unique, which I like. It's it's very UC. For our fans that'll make sense, but I feel like it fits in with the campus and the different.
It's going to be a stunning front centerpiece on
the different
Jefferson.
Architectural styles that a lot of the buildings have, and it'll be cool to podcast from the Bearcat Journal studios once it's complete. Sorry.
Ixnay on the Oddcast pay.
No, I mean there were 4 pictures and it's a building, and we've known it's going to happen for a long time, and those pictures are cool, and I'm sure there'll be more that come out as further things get finalized, and I also imagine that these renderings came out because they're coinciding with the groundbreaking next week. So how the hell are you going to have a groundbreaking
if you don't
have at least some sort of like pictures
we're breaking
there
ground. We have no idea what it's going to look like.
What it's going to look like.
It
It does look like the Sydney Opera House T-Win. You're right.
A little bit. Like that is. It does look like that was like a design influence.
Yeah. So I'm glad it's things are moving. I've been on campus a couple times to see the demolition that's been going on, and it's exciting. And
the hole in the ground is impressive at this point. Yeah. Like it is, when you really like get a look at like how big that plot was when you demo the bleachers and the press box and everything that was there. Like it's huge.
I will probably not be at the groundbreaking, but I imagine you might.
Probably will, just depending on schedule. But at worst, Keegan will be there, and I should be there as well.
We will hopefully have some representation.
That's the nice part now with Keegan, who has done a great job in his first week or so on the job. He lives in town. This is his primary thing.
Yeah, you can just text him, go cover this.
Yeah. And generally I'll be there, and then he'll be there as well. So I'll be able to be there and do like the social media and the the influencer stuff, and he'll be there to write stories. So we're finally getting
as you are an influencer.
Right. That. How do you think we got team ticker right there?
I know.
All right. Anything more on the IPF?
No, absolutely not.
No. Okay. What else you want to talk about? Where are you going with that pillow?
There was a question earlier about Dan Simon, and Dan is on his summer sabbatical.
It's not summer.
So
it's spring.
Well, for him it is. You may see Dan back. I'll give a little foreshadowing. You may see Dan back around mid-July. I'll just leave it at that. Maybe some palm trees in the background, a conga line, possibly. For our loyals, you will know what I'm talking about. We have
a house DJ and an inflatable donkey.
I was actually at Mother's Day. This is no lie. We're out to dinner. We're talking about the vacation, and my mom asks me from across the table, "Do you have Pedro?" And I was like, no, Mom, I do not have Pedro. So Pedro 2 might have.
You left Pedro for the next people.
Yeah, I'm not sure where Pedro is, but yeah, we have another get up this year. We've got a tiki bar in the pool, a couple TVs. The DJ lives in Utah now, and his DJ equipment is in storage in Atlanta. So we got to try to figure out
I think Pedro's in Atlanta.
How this is going to happen, how we're going to get the DJ equipment to Florida. But no, I think that's maybe your best chance for Dan to be back. Could be sometime middle of July.
Give us your thoughts on the ACC and the Secretive 7 or whatever
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's hilarious. They came out, obviously someone leaked something about that, and then
because everybody's been in denial
when they
mode.
realized that, then apparently their lawyers finally notified them that 2036 is not exactly right around the corner. And so all of a sudden their tones seem to change, and how we're really all aligned now, and working to this revenue distribution thing and blah, blah, blah. And then I guess tonight, Pat Forty, Ross Dellinger, I don't know if it was one or both kind of like a co-piece for Sports Illustrated, basically came out with another article where getting quotes where it's just like, yeah, we're not aligned. So,
right.
And I'm not surprised, like, they are verging down the road of the old Big East. They signed a deal that was basically obsolete the minute it was signed, and it was for way too long. And now they are, you have Clemson and you have other schools, which the other schools, we'll throw Florida State in there for sure, because their president has been, their AD or whoever the hell's been talking, has been pretty vocal about it. Like, you got to do something. Like, Clemson should be the one talking about extra revenue. Like, what have you done? But you're now going down this road of like the haves and the have-nots and the we're falling behind and blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, you signed a deal that's not going to be up until I'm like 55 freaking years old.
Why would you sign a 20-year deal?
So I mean, like, these things, obviously we know because we've done the whole conference realignment thing for so long. Like, realistically, like 10 years. They're not.
I wouldn't go more than 7.
No, I'm saying like till they could potentially maybe start talking about like trying to get out.
I wouldn't do a deal longer than 7 years. Like, things change so fast.
I wouldn't do a deal. I don't know if I would do a deal longer than 5 years. I'm just
saying 7 is like 7. Like, that's a long deal.
Right. But like, ESPN doesn't really have anything to do with the grant of rights. That's a conference thing. ESPN doesn't want them to get out of this deal because it's a great deal for them because they're hardly paying any dollars on it.
Sure, pennies on the dollar for a whole conference of like great content.
But I mean, I heard today, like, you're talking about $100 million in exit fees. That's not counting breaking the grant of rights.
Yeah.
So like, they're not going anywhere. Let's be very, very clear about that. This is all just a bunch of bluster and
posturing,
conjecture and posturing. Like, they're not going anywhere.
Right.
Second to that is like, outside of a few programs, where would they go? I think fans publicly and some of these ACC folks think they are hotter shit than they are. Like,
you don't say.
The SEC, like, who from the ACC does the SEC really need to add?
Right.
Like, I hear like, oh, Clemson and Florida State. Why? What does Florida State do for the SEC right now? Adds Tallahassee?
Very little.
Like, Clemson, I could understand a little bit more, but like, they're not even the biggest program. Like, sorry, South Carolina is a bigger program than you, regardless of your recent success.
Yeah.
Like, they added Texas and Oklahoma because they got Red River. They got Oklahoma. They now have Texas and Texas A&M. They, again, apologies to our new Big 12 brethren. Like, they own Texas now. Like,
yeah,
I could see them wanting North Carolina, and I could see them wanting Virginia. Other than that, like, the SEC, what do they have to have? Kind of the same thing with the Big Ten. Same 2 schools. Maybe a Georgia Tech for the Big Ten. Academically, Atlanta, But, like, where are these teams going to go that are threatening to, we're unified until someone offers a school more to go? Well, who's going to offer them?
Right.
We keep talking about super conferences and expansion, and it's fun to play the game of like, well, this team goes here and this team goes here. But do those conferences truly want to keep going and just adding more programs that I'm not sure how much they really move the meter for them?
Yeah, like, I mean, if the Big Ten could add North Carolina, guess what?
Well, yeah,
They're
that was
probably at
always
North
Jim
Carolina.
Delaney was in North Carolina. He's a North Carolina grad. He was always
Right.
trying to do that.
Right.
At that point, when
if they
he was
could
the
do that,
commissioner,
I'm sure they would do that.
same thing with the SEC. Like North Carolina as a state is a wildly emerging demographic. North Carolina is the premier public university in the state. Historically great basketball program, historically underachieving football program, so they would fit right in with the Big Ten. But like it's funny to hear them say the things, then not say the things, but then still behind the scene. Like it's a fractured mess, and it's going to get worse, and it's going to get worse than the Pac-12. I mark my words, like because of the length of this contract. The revenue distribution is going to cause problems, even though the teams and programs that it's going to cause problems with don't really have a choice. Like, what's Boston College going to do? Right. Say, no, we don't like this. We don't like getting $2 million from the college football playoff distribution now instead of $6 million. Like, okay, what are you going to do, BC?
Right.
So they kind of have to, take their, spoonful of what and ride this thing out and see what happens. But again, I mean, it's a long way away, their deal. So all these conversations now kind of don't really matter because what are your options?
Right. You're going to go to the Pac-12 and save the Pac-12?
Yeah, I mean, you have the ACC asked if ADs wanted to release a joint statement. Multiple ADs immediately shot that down. No one said problems are solved, but no one's going to offer more money unless the school is clear of the grant of rights. The Florida State AD, we've crossed a bridge. There are still more bridges. Yeah, it's a mess. I'm kind of enjoying it, Pittsburgh, how's it feel now? So I hope you get everything that's coming to you.
Right.
So, I don't know what that means for the Big 12. I don't think it means anything for the Big 12 in the here and now, or even really in the near future. I don't think it really means anything for anybody because I just don't know what the hell they're going to do. Like, what are you honestly going to do? The Big 10 isn't offering you because how are you getting out of your grant of rights? Right. You have 13 years worth of not being allowed to be on television or get one single penny from the new conference you're going to. Now, obviously, some of this always can be negotiated, but why would the ACC as a conference negotiate a separation of the grant of rights? The other thing is what if they have 8 schools and they can dissolve the grant of rights? Okay. Do you think all 8 of those schools they're going to find new homes? So what happens
unless they start their own thing? Like they would have to start their own thing.
Yeah. So you'd think so some of them would find new homes, and then the rest of them were just going to cobble themselves back together, but without the good teams?
Well, it's like in this also similar to the conversation of like the NCAA is going to the A5 is going to split.
It's going to break off and do their own thing, so that they have to be the policemen
thing they
now?
created. They're going to break away from the thing that they created and create a new thing that's just like the thing that they created before.
Yeah, except now they're the bad guys instead of being able to say that NCAA is the bad guys.
Like that's the thing I never got, David. Like if they broke away, they would have to create another NCAA to be their shield.
Right.
So you would leave the NCAA that you created in the first place, only to create a new one. Oh, it's a shell game.
Yeah.
I want to backtrack for 1 second. Our guy Michael Boston, who did some work for us posted this on the Jordan thread. He's at the thing in Cleveland tonight.
Yeah.
Said he spoke to West directly and listened to Cunningham talk. They basically said the Jordan deal is done and has been, but BSM was needed for Nike because of the abundance of all the other sports using Nike. Factually correct. If it was just Jordan, this shit would have been done 3-6 months ago. Like if they didn't have to deal with the Nike side of things.
You can make
if it was
Jordan
and UC basketball.
15 uniforms for basketball and for the ladies,
Think logically.
Oh, I know.
Where did Wes Miller come from?
That's hard for people, Chad.
Where did Wes Miller come from?
It's hard for people.
Like if it was just Jordan, would have been done months and months ago. So that part of it, yes, Nike slowed this up. This is what I've been talking about with Nike is not taking on new teams right now because of the issues we talked about. So yes, supplying an entire, that's the other thing I don't think people think about, Dave, is it's not bringing Nike in. It's not like, okay, Nike does football, Jordan does basketball. No, Nike does football, cross country, track and field, swimming, lacrosse, volleyball, like golf. Like they're taking on the entire athletic department that's not men's and women's basketball.
Yeah, you have got 300 or so athletes,
and outfitting them for everything: uniforms, practice gear to wear around campus. Like, go find an athlete and see what they wear every day. You know what they wear every day? Team issued sweats, team issued shorts, team issued shirts. They're walking around. You want to know an athlete at UC? Just find somebody wearing Under Armour around campus, and there's a pretty good chance they're an athlete. Also said, Wes said he and Jamal Lucas helped design the jersey, one of the old school version of the UC Jordan, but updated with a new feel. The blocks are back. That's really all I give. Asked about Rayvon's edit and said that's pretty close, but not the actual jersey. Didn't give a definitive answer about the collar, but the way he answered makes me believe it won't be red, blah, 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 whatever.
Why didn't anyone ask about the C-paw on the butt?
Because people don't really care about that.
They do.
You're the only thing they should care.
You're not in tune with the fans, Chad.
Look, I just had a shirt on. It had nothing to do with wearing an Under Armour Cincinnati shirt. I woke up this morning and I had to take the dogs outside. Dave's got one on too. So this is just the shirt I put on. I'm sorry. When they start sending me maybe I need a BSN deal. Maybe we need a BSN deal.
I totally had a long sleeve Under Armour shirt on earlier, and I changed because I didn't want to be called out for being outdated.
I don't care.
I went with Reds, and then they lost. So
well, I mean, you can't possibly be dated yet? I mean, how would we have got? We're not cool enough to get the threads this fast.
I mean, you can go with just Jordan brand or Nike brand.
Well, I don't own any of that stuff.
All right. Real quick before we get out of here.
Oh, I got more.
Okay.
The AD of Arizona had a statement tonight.
You're going to have to tag in. I got a 12-year-old I got to put to bed at 10 o'clock. So tag in for a little bit.
Good thing I finished my game.
The AD of Arizona. What are your hopes for your conference as you move into this new phase? I'm not sure how to say it because it might change tomorrow, but we're faced with a new and ever-changing world in conference alignments. Adjustments will have to be made, but I know that we will land in a very good spot. Certainly the hope. Who knows? Whenever you print the result, may be different than the hope, but we'd like to be with the Pac-12 and continue the great tradition of the conference. But if not, there will be a new landscape and a new opportunity for the University of Arizona. that certainly comes off as who the hell knows what's going to happen, but we certainly aren't going to get left behind and are actively looking at all options that have been presented to us.
I heard I hate George Klyakov in that entire
there
statement.
there certainly wasn't any
Pac-12 love. There was no Pac-12 love.
Pac-12 is my ride or die chick. Like, he literally said, but we'd like to be with the Pac-12. Well, yeah, I would like to be 30 pounds less, yeah. So, I mean, that's about as honest as you can put it, which is a nice thing for these guys to actually do from time to time, considering that Arizona State's AD this week said, which I'm surprised that they let him speak publicly, said that it could be July or August for a deal, even though 3 months ago he said one could be coming in the next couple weeks.
I just love how he just continues. It doesn't matter what time of day. It doesn't matter what's going on that week. He just will move the goalposts anytime that it feels convenient to him and everyone else's behest to whatever George Klyakov says. And it's a mess. The whole thing's a mess.
Oh, it's so funny. Like Connor just mentioned about the Washington State AD, who said not too long ago that
Arizona State. Oh
no, Washington State. Who said something to the effect of like, "Well, I think it's close, but but you have to take into account the optics of announcing a deal when ESPN is laying off he didn't sing. I don't think he singled out ESPN, but he said like media companies are laying off all these people." And yesterday, ESPN signs Pat McAfee to like $100 million. I'm like, oh, I don't think the optics are really at play here, guys. I think it's the fact that no one wants your shit conference for what you want them to pay for it.
There is that. I mean, and I guess this is where I don't think Chad asked this of you yet, but who has the bigger mess right now between the ACC and the Pac-12? Because truthfully, they have completely different messes.
I mean, the Pac-12's mess is worse right now because it's in the
present. No deal.
There's no deal, and it's in the present, and you're fighting a lot of just a lot of headwind. The ACC's mess is the family is now fighting, and the divorce settlement isn't for 13 more years. So you're stuck living with each other in the same house, even though you hate each other's guts, apparently. And Peacock pays. No, you forgot a zero. They paid $110 million for one NFL game, not $10 million.
I don't know. I'm just curious as to when you think that dominoes might start to fall.
Oh, I can't possibly say. Like another one that I just thought of, the Washington State AD, he said the whole like optics thing, but now I guess he's talking about how it might go fast because there's so many people involved now. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would that all of a sudden speed things up if there were so many people involved? Like, they're just like, I don't know why these people keep talking, because they released a joint statement how many months ago about consummating a media deal, and that obviously still hasn't happened. We're literally 2.5 months away from a year ago when George Klyakov said at Pac-12 Media Days that we haven't decided yet if we're going to go shopping at the Big 12 aisle, so to speak. That was almost a year ago. Like, why would anybody that's interested in any of this believe one way or the other? Like, I don't believe, you can have your favorite reporter, you can have the reporters that you don't like. I don't believe any of them.
No, at this point.
Why would I?
No.
Like, why would you, you have Dennis Dodd says one thing and then immediately it's refuted by like people at the Athletic. I don't believe any of them.
Well, at the end of the day, the people who actually hold the cards aren't talking to media. Why would they be talking to media? I don't think they're having.
I don't think there's any cards being held. Like I don't think like We are.
That's a great point, Brian. What else is Washington State going to say? We're absolutely screwed.
He said two totally divergent points. He said that they probably haven't announced something because of the optics of it, because people are being laid off. And then he comes back and says, well, now it's probably close because so many people are involved.
I'm sure there are so many people involved, and that's all the people trying to get out and find out where they're going to land.
I don't that's the thing is, I'm not sure. If I'm guessing at this point, based on what these companies are doing, I would guess, and it would be a guess, that I would have very little if we're putting confidence points behind these, this would be low confidence points. I think they'll end up heavily on NBC Universal. So they'll have they would have some element on Peacock, and then some element on NBC, but I don't even know how many games are they really going to get on Big Boy NBC, and then I think the vast majority of it will be on USA, which is better than a lot of the stuff that's been bandied about. The CW and all that shit was never real. That was never.
Nobody
real.
wants a CW. I agree.
But good luck, man. If ESPN and Fox are absolutely interested in a level of game, but not at the price you want.
So the ACC talked about having some schools being paid more than other schools and just redistributing the wealth, and as it were. How do you even do that? What?
So it's not
sure schools can demand it, right? But you have nothing to hold ransom if you're demanding more. No one cares that you want more. How does that work if just because you say you want more, that's not going to necessarily...
You're talking about the Pac-12?
No, I'm talking about the FSU saying that we should have more, redistributing the wealth in their own conference.
So it's different from the media portion of the money. It's more of the NCAA units. It's the CFP, the playoff, the money that they get from that right now is being equally distributed among the 15, 14, 13, I don't even know how many teams.
Sure. Equally
distributed. What they're saying, which FSU, I'm well, you wouldn't have been getting any of this damn money anyway. You didn't go to Clemson should be yeah, we just
when was the last time FSU hasn't been there since? They're basically saying now
if we're distributing, let's just call it 15 million because it's 1 million a school. Let's just say we're distributing. We're
distributing
15 million. Everybody gets one. They're now saying, okay, if you make the CFP, you're now going to get 5 because you were the ones that got us this money, and then everybody else is going to split up the other 10.
But why would any of the other schools agree to that?
Because they don't have any fucking option. What are they going to say?
No. Yeah, why not? Where's FSU going to go? They can't leave.
Well,
you tell them no.
Then you get into the point of okay, then we are going to work very hard to figure out how to get out of this.
You have one page and your lawyers can't figure it out right now. It doesn't matter. You have 13 years to figure it out.
I think it's because you're trying to make the best of a bad situation. And,
I would not. I would dig my feet in so hard. 13 years? Fine. Find a new suitor in 13 years. Until then, you got to deal with me.
Yeah, well.
I'm Wake Forest in this conversation, by the way. Georgia Tech.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I mean,
there's no reason for these teams to just not take money just to make things work well for 13 years. Who cares?
Well, it's happened before. It happened in the Big 12. We saw how that went.
That's stupid. Anyway, do you have anything to say about any of the new commits? Chad's back.
Where are we at on cloning?
I mean, I don't think we're very far.
I think most of it is not allowed legally.
I'm not really into the sciences. but I don't think we're too advanced in that world.
All right. Well, it is what it is, I guess.
Are you looking to clone yourself?
No, Kelly hasn't had hair in a while, but if we can bring Kelly back, I guess my other problem is, like, if there is cloning, can we bring her back at like a reasonable age? Do we have to start from scratch again? Because I don't have that much time.
Are you here for the jokes, or can I drop out? Because I want no part of this conversation.
I'm just saying I am not prepared to be the single parent of a 12-year-old daughter.
FSU, Miami, Clemson are leaving regardless when the contract gets close to ending. Aaron is right. He should tell his schools to fly kite. Thanks,
Tell him to go fork your shirt.
Did you read lips?
Oh boy. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be so much fun. It's gonna be so much more fun to watch this from a ship that's not taking on water. And as I've said, who knows? Like, never get comfortable in this landscape. Never get comfortable. But you have to admit, Dave, it feels a little better from a ship that is not headed for an iceberg.
Yes.
Currently.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Are we good? You got anything else? We're at 2:01.
No, I'm good.
All right. Let's get out of here. That's a wrap. Super, super thanks to Dustin Grutza. That was really good. Really good for Dustin and all of everything he had to say. I'm going to go try to get my 12-year-old to go to bed. She's already setting up for my throat hurts. I don't want to go to school tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah, that was part of that. Like, I had to take the flashlight from my phone and like check my throat. I'm like, I'm not a doctor. I don't know. Like, what do you want me to do? Say like it looks like there's a ulva there. Like, I see some, like, your windpipe looks good. I think you're okay. Shit. Take a NyQuil. Take your ass to bed. All right. We'll see you next time. Thanks to Dustin Grutza. As always, thanks to Dave Simone. Thanks to Holy Grail and Team Ticker. We'll see you next time. It's the BCJ podcast right here on BearcatJournal.com.